It's me, Cerise. Welcome to my channel. So, I'm going to wait for a couple of you guys to hop on. And then today we are going to be talking about how not to get taken advantage of when you're on vacation, more specifically here in the Dominican Republic. And you guys know I always have a topic for a very important reason. I'm going to wait for you guys to hop on. I'm going to wait for two more people. And I just want to say, today is a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Today we are in the north coast of the Dominican Republic. And I have a sponsor today that I'm so excited to tell you guys about, paid promotion today, that I'm going to be talking to you guys about. And I also want to say, my hair has been growing. Like, my hair product is really doing well. Look at this. If you guys look at like my TikToks on like April, look at my April TikToks, you'll see my hair was like literally up to here. And now look at my hair. It is growing and it's so healthy. Hit me up when you are here in the Dominican Republic, because I can definitely give you what I use. I make it myself. It's natural oils and it's amazing. Let's see who we have weighing in here. We have, hold on, I got my glasses right here. We have Tate Eddie. Hey, Tate Eddie, how are you? Welcome. This is the first time I believe I've seen your name here. So if it's the first time that you've been joining me on a live to air, welcome. And any of you guys that are watching now and you're new to my channel, please take a moment to subscribe for some random videos that I put up. Jody LeGrand, how you doing, baby girl? And then we have Benny Richardson. Hola, Cerise. Hola. How are you guys doing? Oh, wait, there's someone else here. David Rich. Hey, honey, how you doing? Back to you, beautiful soul. All right. So, guys, you guys know how I do it. When I am, oh, wait, we have someone else before, you guys know I like to say hello. I do these live to airs because I really love, Eddie Baltimore. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Oh, so nice to hear from you. On here, we talk on on WhatsApp. So it's always nice to see people who I talk to on WhatsApp, Instagram, on social media, period, to see them on my live air. So thank you so much. Opal Butts. Hi, Cerise. I am turn on the pages, sister Gwen. You're turn the pages, sister Gwen. How are you? Turn the page. Oh, you have such a lovely brother. You really do. I appreciate your brother. He really is the type of person who has such a good heart. Well, all you guys do, really. Welcome, Gwen. All you guys have really, really good hearts. And I just want to say, I think that's what brings everyone together here. Birds of a feather flock together. And especially on this island, we all come on this island to be together. For those of you who don't know me and you're just tuning in, or you just happen to be figuring out that you want to come to the Dominican Republic, I've been a vlogger here for almost 4 years, living here, and I help people find apartments. I help them purchase land, start businesses, and also, like almost anything, airport pickup, drop off. I can connect you with anyone. I call myself a one-stop shop because it seems like anything that anyone needs, I have a connection to it, which is pretty amazing. I have a really important announcement to make tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a live to air again tomorrow. It is about tailor-made dreams. And I'm going to be on the beach tomorrow, because tomorrow right now it's Alta Gracia weekend. It's a holiday weekend here. And the holiday weekend is Jesus Christ's mother's birthday. So Mother Mary's birthday. And so it was a holiday Friday and Saturday kind of thing, Sunday today, is everyone's just celebrating. And tomorrow I'm going to be on the beach. Now, I don't know if the beach is going to be busy, but I'm going to bring my music box down. We're going to be playing some reggae, and we're going to buy a bottle of rum. And tomorrow I'm going in the water, and I invited Ken, my buddy. I invited Elsa, my buddy. I invited my motoconcho buddy Eddie and my buddy Jeff, and of course I'm bringing my dog Noche. So I don't know who else is going to join us, but I'm pretty sure I'll invite a few more people. If you're in the area, come on down. I usually hang around the Los Charamicos end of the beach, right? Like at the Los Charamicos end of the beach, that's closer to where I live, and it's not so touristy. And it's not that it's less expensive either, because beach prices are beach prices. But I bring my own bottle of rum. I bring my own ice, and I bring my own music box and stuff like that. So it makes it cheaper. And when it comes to food, if you guys want to order something, you guys can order food from any of the restaurants in the area, and they'll deliver it to you on the beach. All right. So I did see a couple of more messages pop up, and I am going to get into the topic of the day because of a certain reason. You guys know. Let me see. Bernie, Eddie from B More. Homie, what part of B More? B More. Is that how you guys say Baltimore? You Baltimoreans? I'm only thinking that it's Baltimoreans because I'm from Toronto and we're called Torontonians. But without any further ado, let's get into the topic. You guys know my topics. If you don't know, my topics when I do a live to air are usually based on facts, like something that you need to know about the Dominican Republic, or it's based on something that I experienced, and I throw it into a story time type of format. So this is going to be a story type format today, and it's going to be a few stories in one. And I'm going to be explaining how people have been taken advantage of. We already know how men get taken advantage of when they come here, and that's just a common thing. Men come here, they fall in love, and then, they end up going back home to wherever they came from. And very often their girlfriends are younger, and their girlfriends, require money in order to stay off the streets if they were working girls to begin with, or they just need a little top up. And quite often the men feel like they're being used, and not quite often, but at times the men are being used, not all the time, right? I mean, there are very good Dominican women. Now, I do want to say this first off and hand, like this, I'm going to say a story about a Haitian person. I don't know what it is with Haitians. I love you guys. My neighbor right over here across the way, one of my motoconchos that I use often, Whoa, shouts out Whoa, is a Haitian. I love Haitians. I love everybody, right? But it just seems like when I put a Haitian in one of my stories, they go off. So if you're Haitian and you're listening to this and you go off, you have no idea who I am. But you might understand the story once I get to it, okay? And then you'll be like, she's just being fair, okay? So I'm not hating on anyone, because yes, I'm in the Dominican Republic, and my story times are not always going to be about Dominicans. They're going to be about foreigners as well. And that's that. All right. So first story. I don't know which one to start with. All three of them have Haitians in them. Haitian men are in these stories. There are 4 stories actually. 3 of them are Haitian men. 1 of them is Dominican man. But all of them have to do with women coming here. So ladies, you got to be careful when you come here. Now, let me just get to the basics. Let me just get to the first story. What actually prompted this? The other day, I was at one of the bars on Pedro Clasante. And I was sitting there with my buddy Ken. Ken is American. You guys will see him in the live to air tomorrow when I announce a special announcement tomorrow and a special invitation to you guys. And Ken and I were just sitting there and we're chilling out. It was last Friday, I think it was. And we were chilling out. And no, it wasn't Friday. It was Wednesday. And so I saw one of my friends, who's a visitor here, but she comes here all the time, and she rents cars when she's here. She's in her 60s, and she'll drive all along the island all by herself. She is her own road dog. Like, she is amazing. So that's what she usually does. But I've noticed at times that she's a little vulnerable to men. Now, I don't know if this is because she is older and has been single for a very long time, and that makes her inexperienced. And the fact that younger men here come up to us, women that are in our 50s and 60s. I'm 50 years old and I get it all the time, but I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, she is, like I said, she's used to these roads here. And so she has her cousin with her. Very good women. You know, they're not from America. They're not from Canada or anything like that. They're from an island, though, and I don't want to say where because I don't want to call her out that much. But here we are, and I see her, and I call her into the restaurant that I'm sitting in, and she comes in and she sits down with us at our chairs, you know, and we're all chilling in like a little lounge area there. And she's like, you know, her birthday was coming up and everything. And we're all talking back and forth and we're enjoying each other's company. And then she's like, okay, I got to go. I have to go shop. You know, my cousin wants to buy a knapsack. And I'm like, all right, cool. So she left. Now, in the meantime, they're gone for a little while. In the meantime, I look at Ken, my buddy, and I'm like, hey, let's go across the street to Smiley's. And, you know, I did a video there the other day on Smiley's. You guys check it out. It's a brand new bar here in the Dominican Republic. And, you know, it's great. And so I said, let's go across to Smiley's. So we were about to do that. We finished our drinks and she came back. Now, I saw her outside of the restaurant walking, and I saw a guy walking behind her, a young, skinny Haitian dude, about 35 years old, and then her and her cousin. So they're walking, and I said to Ken, I'm like, oh, she's back. I wonder if they're coming in here. If they're coming in here, let's just, you know, say our goodbyes, and, you know, we'll go across the street in a minute. And he's like, okay. So they come into the bar and they come to the back of the bar restaurant to sit down with us again. And this young man is with her. So I look at her and I can already tell from him that he is not that he's a little seedy. You know what I mean? He's not the savory type. He's seedy. So I look at her and I'm like, who's this? And I'm a serious cat. If you don't know me, I'm a serious cat. Like, I am from the hood in Toronto, but I mean, I've had my successful days, still have my successful days. By the way, I digress for a second. I'm going to be on the radio every Monday morning in Toronto on a radio station, which I will link down below, 7:15 Toronto time, doing Mindful Mondays because I'm a mindset coach. So, I'm one of those people, I don't mess around. If something doesn't smell right, something doesn't look right, I'm going to speak up. And I'm going to speak up quickly. I don't let the roots grow on a bush till it becomes a tree, because it takes too long to pull it out when it's a tree. So I looked at her right away and I'm like, who's this guy? Your friend? She's like, oh, I don't know. He just followed me up the street. And I'm like, you let him follow you like that right here into the restaurant and sit with us? And she's like, well, he's over there. He was one seat over, but still chilling with us. And he's looking at her and he's smiling. And her cousin's with her, and her cousin shows me what she bought and everything. So then I'm like, all right. I'm sitting there chilling for a minute, you know, and so Ken, he does cryptocurrency and everything like that. And he's a teacher of crypto. So I'm letting him connect with those two ladies so they can actually learn a little bit more about crypto as well. And plus, this woman also does a little crypto herself on the side already. So I'm letting them deal with their business. And I'm looking at my cell phone because now I'm put off by this guy that I can tell is a Sankey Panky and about to take advantage of my friend. So I'm watching him, you know, right away. I never go quiet. I'm a talker. I love talking to people and socializing. If I'm in a group and I go quiet, there's two reasons why. I'm doing business on my cell phone. And if I'm not on my cell phone, it's because I'm watching something. So I was kind of on my cell phone, but looking up at him. And I could tell that he was like looking at her. And so I asked her again, I'm like, what is he doing here? Like, did you hire him for something? And she's like, no, he just followed me. And I'm like, people are not supposed to follow you. Like, why? What is he following you for? And then she's like, oh, he gave me a water. And I'm like, he gave you a water? And she drinks the water. And then she asks him, how much for the water? Now, I don't know if she likes him, but if she does like him, she needs to go somewhere else with him and not sit with me and my friend, because this guy, I could tell, was seedy. And I don't want that type of person around me. And I'm going to give you reasons right now. Give me 2 minutes. So then I look at the guy and I'm like, she wants to know how much the water is, because I'm thinking that if she pays him for the water, he's going to go. And he's like, oh, it's a gift. It's a gift. A nice cold bottle of water. And you can see that like he probably could not afford to buy it. Okay, that's just a whole other story. And then and when I say not afford to buy it, don't get me wrong. I help out a lot of people here, but you can tell that he's not trying to help himself. He's like just trying to take advantage of women in the streets, foreigner women on vacation. So then she says, oh, it's a gift. Thank you. And she's all feeling good now. And then I'm like, okay, like, well, he can go now, or you can go sit with him over there, right? And she's like, no, I don't want to go over there and sit down. And I'm like, yeah, but like, what's he doing here? And she's asked him, she's like, is it your day off? She doesn't speak Spanish, and he doesn't really speak a lot of English. And she obviously doesn't speak Creole or French. So she says to him, is it your day off? Like day off of work, right? And he's like, huh? And I said, is it your day off? I said it in Spanish. And he's like, oh, I know you, like that to me. He didn't answer me if it was his day off. And I'm like, how do you know me? And I'm waiting for it, you know? And I'm like, how do you know me? And he's like, I know you from, and he said this, Copacabana. Now, Copacabana is a very popular restaurant, but it is known more for after hours. You're not going to see me at Copacabana every night. And I've been there twice in my whole entire life being here. Twice in my whole entire life being there. The last time I was there was probably like about 6 months ago. And the time before that was probably about almost 4 years ago. Okay? So, no. I looked at him and I said, you saw me at Copacabana? And he's like, oh, no, no Copacabana. I saw you at Coco, another place. And I said, no, you didn't. I don't even go to that place. And he's like, oh, and then he started to say some other places that are where people go there to get their addictions fed, if you know what I mean. I don't want this video flagged by saying certain words, but he started to name places where people go to have their addictions flagged. I'm not talking about working girls either. I'm talking about stuff, right, that I don't do, right? So I looked at him and I'm like, excuse me, I don't know where you think you saw me, but I don't even go out at nighttime unless I'm in like my hood where I live. And, you know, I live in Los Charamicos, for those of you who don't know, but I didn't tell him. And I'll go like to the Colmado here, but I'm in my bed by 9 o'clock. Like, it's very rare that I'm out after that, especially after the pandemic and everything. Now I'm really in a early bird. So he's like, oh, I saw you. And I said, you know what, bro? You didn't see me anywhere. And you got to stop talking lies that you don't even know what you're talking about. Number one. Number two, why are you all up on her? And he's like, what? And I'm like, why? Oh, my earring fell out. I'm like, why are you all up on her? And then he's like, what? And then he started to get really angry. Now, you could see that he is a person that even Haitians would not hire here. I know Haitians here, really good Haitians. They do construction, they do restaurant work, they do moto concho. They are hustling and they are working. And the women, they put fruits on their head. And I know Haitians, okay? But then I know some other guys that are just trying to make a quick dollar on desperate older women. And this is a beautiful woman. She doesn't even look 65. She just turned 65 and she looks about 45, right? Like, honestly, I'm being honest with that. And every time I look at her face, I think, oh my gosh, this woman's skin is so pure, like a baby's butt, you know? So I'm like, why is she so desperate in my head? And then, I don't know. I even said to her, I'm like, listen, take this guy somewhere else, because I can see he is an unsavory person. And he's seedy, and I don't need anyone on these streets, especially the police officers who look out for tourists, to think that I'm chilling with this type of man. Because this is a small town, and you need to really take this into account right now if you're coming here to visit and you're a woman or a man. It's important to make sure you know who you're chilling with. You know that old saying that our parents told us back in the day, your friends are who you are? That is so much more true here. And if you don't know who you're chilling with, then you got to be really careful. You got to watch them first. And especially if they're following you up the street, like you're shopping at a store and they start following you to where you are and then sit down, and then your friend catches a vibe and you're still trying to chat to this person. I was like so turned off from her immediately. And I said to her, I'm like, take him over there. I don't need any of my police officer friends that I already have respect for. And when I say friends, I mean acquaintances. Police officers that see me in the street when they're driving, they honk their horn at me because they know that I'm doing a good job for visitors here, expats here, and locals here, you know, and they respect me in that way. And I work really hard on that. I don't need one man to be around me that's like a sanky panky. I need to be looking out for my friend, right? So I said to her, go over there with him. Like, seriously now. And then she says to him, come here. We're feeling a little uncomfortable with your company. And then he's like, so come on over here with me, right? And she's like, oh, no, no. And then I said to him straight up, I said, look, what do you want from her? Because she's chilling right now with us. And you need to go out of the restaurant, because he wasn't buying anything at all. And she wasn't buying anything at the restaurant either. Nothing. She came with her own drink, her own malt, right? So it wasn't even like she was buying like a drink there, or she ended up buying food, which was great because she's not a selfish person either. She's a very giving person. She's very loving, very beautiful. I don't even know why she would make herself this vulnerable. So then he looks at me and he's like, what? And he was just about to go off, and then the waitress came over, and I said, excuse me, do you know this guy? The waitress was Haitian, and she looked at me and she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, he needs to go. And then the Haitian guy looks at her and he's like, you know me. And then of course she's gonna stick up for him. So she's like, oh yeah, I've seen him around. And I'm like, okay, well, he needs to go, because he's not welcome here right now where we're sitting right now. And she even knew his flex. She could even tell that he was trying to get himself, you know, a woman, an older woman to take care of him or whatever. And then she's like, and then I said, you know what? I'll do you a favor. I'm getting up and I'm leaving, because I was just about to leave anyway. And I said, come on, Ken, let's go. And Ken's like, okay, wait for me. And I'm like, no. I went to the one guy that I knew would care in the restaurant. He works, he's a brand new chef there. And I went over to him and I said, you know what? You guys got to be really careful when you see dudes come into your restaurant like this, like, and trying to take advantage of the women, you know? And then he's like, yeah, you're right. And so I said, but I'm leaving. I'm going across the street. And, you know, I just want to let you know. So I went across the street to Smiley's. This guy followed me over there. Why? Because he knew I was on to him, but he wanted to cuss me out more. But he was also somewhat attracted to my straightforwardness, like me saying, look, you better just back off, right? And he's like, what? Check out this woman. So I went into Smiley's and they wouldn't even let him in there. He was on the side of the road. There was no way he was going to get in there. So he's like trying to talk to the Haitian waitresses, and they're just like looking at him like, what do you want? You know, you're not even allowed in here. And that's what I really do like about Domingo and Smiley's. Like, he keeps people out that he knows are going, that mean no good for his customers. And so that is one thing. If you find anybody following you on the streets and you don't know who they are, and you're an older person, like an older woman, you better believe they are not following you because they're looking for a friend, especially if they're undocumented, if they're not working. And you can tell that his own people here were not about to hire him. Like, they weren't, he's unhireable. He was angry and you know, very mean, like his whole face just turned angry when I said to him, go over there, right? Like, what are you doing here? What are you trying to pick up my friend for? She's 65 years old. You're 35 years old. Like, what do you want here? And I'm not saying anything about age because, I mean, when I was 35 years old, I found older men attractive, and I still do at 50. I'll date a 70-year-old, a man 20 years older than me. There's no problem in that. All I'm saying is she was vulnerable, and I think it made her feel good that he was targeting her. And then he actually said to me, too, that I was jealous. He said, "Oh, you're jealous." I was like, what? I couldn't even hardly respond to that one. I was like, I'm jealous. And then he changed the topic because he knew. I said, what? Yo solosa? Like, how can I be jealous? In any case, that's one story. I messaged her once I was over at Smiley's, and I said to her, you know what? I had to get up and leave because not only were you making yourself kind of look vulnerable, like I don't know why you would do that, but at the same time, you know, you have to watch out who you're chilling with, wherever you are around the world. Anyone's following you up the street, and you know what their intentions are. I don't care how good it makes you feel. Use your common sense and don't bring them around me. And then when you see me, the most peaceful, calm, collected person that I know, you know, anything could happen and I'll be calm. I couldn't even argue with the guy. I was like, I will leave. I excused myself, you know, and when you bring people around good, like people that have bad intentions around good people, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I am a good person and I do have other people's, you know, the best in mind, the best intentions for people. And she wasn't trying to help herself. So I was like, you know what? Bye. And I left. And then after I left her a message on her WhatsApp, letting her know, like, you really shouldn't be putting yourself in that type of position, she got back to me and she's like, I know what you're talking about. I was telling him to go. I was telling him. And I couldn't even listen to the rest of her message. Still didn't get back to her. I'm not angry at her or anything like that. I just know that I cannot be in the presence of women that are weak-minded and desperate because it doesn't make sense. You need to be stronger in your brain. And I'm going to talk about a couple of people, women that are stronger in a minute as well. But I have two more stories. Now, you need to be stronger. You need to know when to fold them. You know that old song by, what's his name? Kenny Rogers? Know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. You guys know that song. Well, that's the whole deal. That you need to listen to that song before you go anywhere around the world. And she just was so vulnerable, and I don't understand why, when she drives herself all around the country and everything. And it made me nervous for her. It really did. And now I don't want to be connected with that because if anything does happen to her, I would feel like, whoa. Okay, now next story. A woman, she was... Now, this story, I don't know which one I should say next. Okay, I'm going to save the big one for last, okay? Like the real bad one for last. Okay, so there's a woman, and she is from America, and she was living in a building. Now, in this building, there was construction going on. So very often, if you live in a building and the landlord is still building, the landlord will still build on top. So 2 floors might be done, but the 3rd floor will get built. So for instance, in my building, the construction has now stopped, but it has been going on for like 3 months. And it wasn't bad. Every day there's drilling, you know what I mean? It just sounds like construction. And I just worked around it. It was totally fine. I'm actually excited to look at the apartment because it's going to be overlooking Playa Sosua and it's going to be so gorgeous. That's another story. I'll show it to you guys if you're interested in renting a beautiful place like that. But so this is not my building that I'm talking about. There's a woman and she lives in Sosua, and there was construction going on in her building. So when the guys would show up, and quite often they are Haitian workers, right? Haitian construction workers in the beginning, because they do all the grunt work. And then near the end of construction, quite often a Dominican will go in with a Haitian crew to do the final touches, like, I don't know, flooring and stuff like that. But the Haitians do the rough stuff. And so she saw this and she was like, oh my gosh, these guys are showing up every single morning, like, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning, and they are working all day. They take a break at lunchtime, and then they go home at around 5 o'clock. So she started to see that this, couple of guys, they didn't really have lunch. Some of them would have a boiled egg. And when they showed up in the mornings, she would say hi to them because she would go out and she feeds cats outside, right? So a whole bunch of cats. Actually, I have a new cat. It's not mine. It's just one that comes on my terrace. But so she would go out and feed the cats. So one morning she got to talking to a couple of the Haitian guys that speak English. And she said, do you guys have breakfast? And they were like, no. And she's like, oh. And so she started to boil them up eggs every morning. That's fine, right? But then she started to like give them coffee. And there was one of the guys that felt like she was doing it because she wanted them. And she didn't want them at all. Like she just was being kind. She's in her 60s. And so after the construction was done, right? Construction was complete. And one night around 2 o'clock in the morning, she heard like scuffling upstairs. And she was like, what's that scuffling? Now, she heard it all through the construction time, but she just thought it was cats upstairs because, the doors weren't on yet. Some of the walls weren't on throughout the construction. So she just thought like dogs and cats or like whatever were going up there. Animals were going up there in the nighttime. But when all the construction was complete and no one was living there yet, she was hearing this scuffle. So she went upstairs and she knocked on the door to see what was going on. Foolish move. You don't do that like that in the wee hours of the morning. You don't do that, right? You tell the landlord, you tell the owner that you heard noises and that's it. And the landlord would take care of it. But anyway, she goes and she knocks on the door and one of the Haitian construction workers answers the door. Like it was his apartment or something. And he answers the door and he's like, hi. And she's like, what are you doing here at this hour? Isn't construction complete? And he's like, well, yeah, the construction's complete, but, he didn't have a place to live. So he was squatting in there until it was rented out. Now, he was squatting in there. How did he even get in there? Because you need a front door key. He copied the front door key one day when the construction first started. And he was sleeping in there throughout those whole months of construction, like, I don't know, 3-4 months of construction. So she looked at him and she's like, have you been sleeping up here the whole time during all this time of construction? And he said, yes. She said, well, I have a spare room. Come on, guys. Like, that's just too vulnerable. And she's like, well, I have a spare room. Come on down and you can sleep in my place tonight. And, tomorrow we'll find you a place. Now, she knew this guy. Granted, she knew him for the last few months, so she felt that she could trust him, right? Now, when he got downstairs, he slept. And he slept like a baby until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She didn't wake him up because she knew he was tired. And then finally he woke up. She gave him some lunch and she said, you must have been tired. And he's like, yeah, really tired. He hasn't slept like a single night straight through and very long because he's always worried about waking up and getting caught. And she said, oh, wow. She's like, okay, well, you know what? You can stay here for, a couple of more days. I'm going to look around Sosua and I'm going to see what I can find you. Okay. Fast forward 3 days. And like this guy was working it. He woke up in the morning, he was cooking for her and he was, cleaning for her. And she has a little bit of a physical disability. So, she was like, this is great. He was feeding her cats with her outside and he was really doing a number on her. She said to him that he could stay in her place a little bit longer. Now, they weren't intimate at all. I want to make that clear. Well, I really don't know if they were intimate, but I want to make that clear. She said they weren't. But, I don't want to call her a liar, but it is what it is. Sometimes women can be taken advantage of, And so he was cooking for her, cleaning for her, going for walks with her because she had a disability, has a disability, and she just wanted someone to go for walks with to keep her company. They would go for walks together. So she started to become accustomed to hanging out with him. And eventually, he was chilling with her, and eventually one night she was sleeping and she passed out, and for some reason she was sleeping harder than any other night. She woke up in the morning and her whole apartment was cleaned out. Everything was gone. She doesn't even know how the furniture was taken out, and the furniture wasn't even hers because she was renting a furnished apartment. So she doesn't even know how the everything got taken out. Like the kitchen table even was really, really heavy. So, it's my suspicion that he gave her a sleeping pill, too many, right? Because she did take sleeping pills sometimes before bed. But I think he slipped a little bit in too much into her coffee that night and just cleaned her out for everything. So, that just brings me to my point where, be very careful with young men. Sometimes you offer them a lot of help because, you want to, be kind, but you can do it in other ways. You don't need to have them under your roof and in your home and in your spare bedroom and everything like that. She said to me, well, it was saving her money because she was spending 4,000 pesos a month anyway on a maid, but that's $80 a month. 4,000 pesos, that's $20 a week. And that's not bad because usually maids will charge $20 a day. And this maid was going into her place and, doing a lot for her and only taking $20 a week. So that's pretty cool, And I said to her, I'm like, so now you have absolutely nothing. She lost everything. He went and also cleaned out her bank account because during the time that he was staying with her, she started to trust him a lot, and she gave him the code to her bank card one day when she was feeling very, very bad because, again, she had a disability. She was feeling very, very bad, like horrible, bad day, and she was laying in her bed and she needed food and she didn't have any money on her and she couldn't go out, and she learned how to trust him, and she gave him her bank card and told him to go with the bank card. So he had her bank card number and everything. He even took that night. So she was left with absolutely nothing. And that's not the worst story. Let me get to the next story. So the next story goes like this. I know of a woman. I'm not going to say her name, but she's somebody who I know from Toronto. I kind of want to say this story because I kind of want her children to hear this story, just in case they are watching my channel and they know what she's going through. So, and I don't know how to contact them. So, she is somebody who I know, and she, I came to the Dominican Republic, and she started to, see my videos, and she's like, you know what, Cerise, I want to go to the Dominican Republic. So she came to the Dominican Republic. Now, when she got here, she, was planning on laying down roots, selling her home and moving here for good, like selling her home in Canada and moving here for good. And I thought that was a wonderful idea, and I told her she could buy here and she could build here an apartment building and still have some money in the bank and make some money off her apartment. Everything was great. It was gravy. And then she started to send how can I say this nicely? Here we have a word for it. In Canada, we have a word for it as well, but I don't want to be rude. Here we call it mundo abajo. It means the world under. But in Canada, we have the word called white trash. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. But she brought this dude here who was like that, just bad attitude. And, he was on the beach one day. He was visiting here and he was on the beach one day and he contacted me and he asked me for Bob Marley. Bob Marley, if you know what Bob Marley is, right? And I'm like, what? I don't have Bob Marley for you. And he's like, you know what? You bring it to me. You connect me with that person and you bring it to me on the beach. I'm waiting for you. Who? What? Oh, who? You know me, I cussed him out big time. And then I contacted her and I said, why are you bringing people here like that? He's a piece of work. And I said to her, you know what? I can't deal with him. I know he's your people, but I'm not helping him out. He's a very nasty person and a horrible character, and I don't want to speak to him. And she was like, okay, I'm sorry, Cerise. I'm sorry, Cerise. And then her children contacted me and cussed me out for just leaving that guy high and dry, like in the country here. He was only young. I think he was like only 28 years old, but he should have had more respect. And I don't have time for people that don't have time for respect and stuff, right? So her children even cussed me out, and I was like, whatever, block them all. And then I, even told her, do not contact me again, but I forgave her. She came back and she came here and she was visiting again. And I was chilling with her and hanging out and with her and my friend Elsa, if you guys know Elsa. So the three of us are chilling. And then I said to them, you know what? I had Noche. We were all at a bar on Pedro Clasante, and I had my dog Noche, and Noche was getting tired. She didn't want to be out any longer. So I said, I'll be right back, ladies. I'm going to go and drop Noche off at home. So I went to my apartment, and I dropped Noche off, and then I came back to the bar, and those two ladies were gone, Elsa and this woman. And I said to someone at the bar, I'm like, where did Elsa and this lady go? And they said, oh, they took off with someone in a BMW. And I'm like, a BMW? Who? And then it put two and two together. I'm not going to say his name because I respect his flex and whatever he does here. We all have to live somehow. And then I contacted them on WhatsApp. And I'm like, where are you guys? And Elsa said to me, she's home. And I'm like, how did you get home? And she's like, oh, your friend and her boyfriend drove Elsa to her apartment. And I'm like, her boyfriend? Who's her boyfriend? And she's like, the fat dude. And I'm like, what fat dude? And she's like, the Haitian American. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? So then I contacted my friend and I said to her, like, and this woman's 65, and I said to her, where are you? And she said where she was, her apartment. And I said, with who? And she told me with who. And I'm like, well, he's a pimp. He's a chulo. And she's like, oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. I'm like, what are you doing with people that are going to take advantage of you? I know. I live here. And she's like, no, no, he's not. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I said to her, you know what? Don't speak to me any longer because you're not taking my advice. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not being careful, and you're putting me in circumstances that I don't need to be in. And I'm a very serious cat. I do business here, and I don't want to be chilling with people that are not thinking straight. Period. And I said a few other things to her as well. And obviously. And then she's like, whatever. And then I blocked her. And she was staying in my apartment at the time, an apartment that I was renting out. And I told her she had to get out because I don't want her and people like her company in the apartments that I was renting out, And she did leave, and we never spoke again. I blocked her on everything because I was like, this woman is just problems for herself, and you don't want to be with, even if you're smart, men, women, even if you are smart, okay, and you're like, oh, that's just my friend doing that, still don't be around that stuff. You are in a foreign country. You need to watch out for yourself. And if you don't watch out for you, who's going to watch out for you? And I'm a single woman here, and this was a woman that came here because she knew I was here. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can't be dealing with that, because if this woman gets hurt or anything of that nature, I don't need her getting hurt in the apartment that I rented to her, and she needs to be far away from me as far as she can be. Okay? Some of you guys might be thinking I'm a little severe. Some of you guys might be saying, good for you, Cerise. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone is saying. What really matters is me looking out for myself. So then I went to the bar the next day, get this, the chulo, he was my friend too in some ways. I always gave him respect when I saw him outside. And I don't know if he was really a pimp, but I do know that, he always had young girls around him that were foreigners, like undocumented, Haitians and stuff. And it just looked a little shady. And for me, I watch and I learn. And then he goes like this to me in the bar. I go to the bar and he goes like this. So I went over to him and I'm like, yes. He's like, did you tell your friend that I'm a chulo? And I said, well, and he's like, did you? And I said, well, I told her, like, yeah. And I felt kind of bad because she ratted me out. But at the same time, I want to hold it down respectful with him and let him know, because here I didn't know at the time that it was illegal to be a chulo, like a pimp. I thought because prostitution is like working girls is legal here, I thought it was okay to put a girl on the streets. I just didn't know. But now I do know the rules. I did a video on it a couple of weeks ago. You should check that out. But he's like, why would you tell her that? And I said, because she's my friend and I was looking out for her. And he's like, yeah, but that's illegal for a man to do that here. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. And he's like, yeah, don't be going around telling people that. And I said, well, I didn't know, but now I know. I apologize. And he was like, okay. And we were cool after that. And I was like, why are we so cool after that? And I'm not even cool with her, but I'm still cool with him. And when I say cool with him, it means we still say hello in the streets. And when he's driving his car, he honks his horn at me and we're like, hey, what's up? But her, I just never spoke to her again for many reasons. One, because she was just not using her brain. Number two, because she ratted me out like that. You can't be chilling with people like that are going to, not even look out for you when you're looking out for them. So I stopped talking to her again, like just completely, I contacted her too. And I'm like, are you serious? For real? You told him what I said and all I was doing was looking out for you while you're in a foreign country? And she's like, oh, wow. In the smoker voice, sound like, I'm not trying to be mean, but let me just be keeping it real here. Marge Simpson. She's like that type of chick, the type of chick that gets really nasty drunk and is just rude, and doesn't know how to hold it down. So now that was 2 years ago, I guess. And the other day I saw her in a bar. Now, I knew she was coming back and forth. And I saw her one time a few months ago during the pandemic in one of the bars on Pedro Clasante. But I had her block on everything, so she knew that I was still like, don't talk to me, like just don't come around me type of attitude. And my character is very much like that. When I cut things, like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't let things grow into a tree. The roots are too heavy to pull out after that. I pull it out when it's a bush, so she knew not to contact me. And then I saw her and I didn't say anything to her. But then the other day, a week and a half ago, I saw her at the new bar, Smiley's. And I was sitting there and my heart felt, I don't know, loving. And I felt like, you know what? And I can sense around her that things were messed up. I could sense around her that things were messed up. I can't explain it, but we all have that intuition, that vibe. And I thought her and I had a pretty close friendship before this dude came into the picture. And at this point, in my head, I'm thinking she now knows what he's all about. So maybe she's going to be smart and I can at least say hi to her. Maybe her and I could have a girl to girl, like talk and sit down and, really chill. So I said hi to her. Don't ask me why. I'm going to get to that in a second. So I looked at her and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, good. I don't want to call it trashy, but just not that type of person you really want to do business with, type of thing. So then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so you're back? And she's like, I've been here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, that's good, and I gave her a hug and I said, I do love you. I love you. And I just want you to know I'm not angry. Like, I'm not mad at you. Like Tupac would say, I'm not mad at you. I get it. Like, you were vulnerable and you were silly. You didn't know the rules. So I gave her a hug and she hugged me back. Then I hugged her again because I just wanted to, let her know that no hard feelings. And then, she's like, take my number. So we exchanged. I took her number, and I mean, I still have her other number on block, I'm pretty sure, right? Not pretty sure, I do. So I took her new number, and then, at that moment, I messaged her on the new number and I said hi, like she was sitting beside me, just to make sure we're connected. And then she got home or whatever, and she connected with me. Then a few days later, she left me a message on WhatsApp, but I didn't get it. You guys know, those of you who know me, you'll leave me a message and it might take a couple of days for me to get back to you if I'm really, really busy. And I didn't see her message. So I saw it like a couple of days later and I left her a message and I was like, hey, so how are you? And I'm like, I don't know what you're up to, but if you want, come on out with me and Elsa. We're going to Gran Parada, like it's a corner over here going towards Puerto Plata. And I was like, come with us. We're going to go chill out, even though I know I shouldn't have her around Elsa because of what she already did with Elsa. Elsa is my friend here. She's Dominican and she is not a working girl. She is 52 years old, I think, or 51 years old. She's like in my age group, but she doesn't need to be like in the streets with, women that are trying to find their youth again, so, but in any case, I just said to her, I was like, come on out with us, and I could tell that something was up. And she was like, no, got to stay home. For some reason, she was putting screens in her window or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, you let me know when you got time. So she messaged me 2 days after that, and she told me she's going back to the bar. And she said that and I had a full day with clients. I mean, not just clients for relocation, not just clients like relocation consultations on the phone. If you're looking to relocate, we will do a whole entire half an hour or an hour of talking. And we go through a lot of information. But I'm also a mindset coach, a positive mindset coach, where I show people how to use the most effective ways to change their life. Because I do it myself and I'm living my best life, right? So, I've always done that anyway, even before I moved here. And I'm writing a book on it right now as well, so this was a very busy day for me. It was packed with clients, packed with writing. And she messaged me at 1:00 and she's like, going to the bar, right? Like in text, going to the bar. If you want, we can meet up for a drink. Right. And at that moment, I was going to drop everything to go meet up with her because I knew something was wrong. And it's just, I wanted to look out for her, So then I did. I booked my client. I had a 2:00 client. So I said to her, I said, listen, I have a 2:00 client for an hour, but I'm going to make my 2:00 client a half an hour. And I will meet you for like 3:00. If that's cool, let me know. And she got back to me and she's like, well, I don't know, because I'm already on my second drink or whatever, right? Because by the time I got back to her, it was a little bit later. She was already at the bar, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, she was already on her second drink. And she's like, I'm already on my second drink, so I don't know how long I'm going to be here for. But yeah, I should be here till around 4. And I'm like, okay, so you'll be there. I'll meet you there. So I got my motor concho to drop me off, and I got there around 3:15, and I sat down and I looked at her. And right away, this woman's like, gee, you look like you put on weight. And I did. I said, I think I did. I said, well, I know I did. And I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, I put on maybe about 20 pounds, but I didn't put on 20 pounds. I put on about 10. And she's like, you look. Holy F, look at those arms. And in my family, women have big breasts and big arms. It's just part of the DNA. And she hit a soft chord in me, but I handled it all right because you know what? She's only speaking her mind. She's only speaking truth. I'm not going to allow that to bother me. So I said, yeah, but I think it bothered other people at the bar sitting around because she was saying it so loud in her drunken state. By the time I got there, she was drunk and like drunk. And that's another thing here. If you are a rum and coke drinker, like just expect it to be rum with a little bit of coke, not coke and rum, right? Because it just they pour it here really, really heavy-handedly. So be careful if you're a drinker and you know you really like alcohol. Make sure you drink water in between, or just tell them that you don't need it too strong. You just need it with one shot. So she was like really drunk, and there was a couple of guys around the bar who respect me, you know, guys that play music here and guys that know that I've done business with, you know, and also like just patrons, and they're all looking at me because I'm not reacting to what she's saying. I'm just like flowing with it. And they're like, and they're putting their head down. And I was embarrassed because she's right. I did put on weight, but at the same time, she's right. So what can I say? It's not like I lost 15 pounds and she's calling me a fatty. You know, I didn't have anything to stick up to myself for, right? Stick up for myself. So I would just let it flow. It is what it is. She's entitled to her opinion. And that's her. You know, like I said, just kind of trashy. And then so I said, I let that flow. And then she's like, she started to talk to me about something, and then she punched me in my arm. And I'm like, tranquila, like relax, like don't. Now she's just getting out of control, and now I'm about to walk out of the whole bar and not help her at all. But my intuition is still telling me, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. So I look at her and I'm like, yo, tranquila, like don't hit me. And she listened right away because I guess she remembered in the back of her mind that I am that serious person. And at any moment I will do that cut, you know? So she was like, well, and then boom, the tears started to flow out of her eyes. And she started to cry. And she said she needs help. And I said, I know you need help. How can I help you? And she's like, he's taking everything. The same dude. She's still connected with him. She went back home, sold her house for $350,000, came back here. I'm not saying names because I don't want problems with him, right? At all, obviously. And I'm not afraid at all. But I just want to respect people's flexes too, because it's not his fault that she's so vulnerable. And it's not his fault. Like, he's taking advantage of somebody that wants to be taken advantage of. Okay, so she sells her house, and she comes back here with her $350,000 and gives some to him. Now, he goes on one of these streets here in Sosua, and he shows her some land and tells her that she's going to, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. This is so horrible. But all she had to do was contact me, really, and apologize, or even contact anyone else that I introduced her to. But no, she wanted to be taken care of by him, right? With all this money that she had got from her home sale. And guys, if you're selling your house, money goes quickly here, especially if you're Canadian. Don't think that you're going to come here. Okay, I'll get to that later. So she says to me that he took her to like a street here. I'm not going to say the street either, but it's in Sosua, Bate. And he told her, that's your land right there. You are renting to own that land right there. And she's like, okay. And he's like, you see, we're going to build something on it. So something starts getting built. Now, I asked her, I'm like, where is this place that's getting built? That's yours. And she's like, so I'm just going to mimic her. Okay. She's like, oh, forget it. I'm willing to walk away. And she's talking all loud. Sorry if I'm yelling in the microphone. She's like, I'm willing to walk away from it all now. And tears are coming out of her eyes. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. She's drunk. And I'm trying to get the information out of her because I'm afraid that she might get killed. Right. And I just at least want some type of information in the meantime, just so I can have her back at least a little bit. And then she's like, forget it. And I'm like, what are you going to walk away from? Tell me what you're walking away from first. And she told me the guy's name, so I know the guy's name, that she bought this rent to own from, which is fake. It's fake. It's not real. Rent to own from this guy, it's a lie. So then I'm like, well, do you have any paperwork? She's like, no, he has it all. I'm like, so you didn't get any paperwork? Now, this is a woman that bought her own home in Canada. She knows that she has to have paperwork. Guys, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe if you are enjoying this story. I have a lot more story times. So she's like, no paperwork. I'm like, well, you need a lawyer. You need help. And she's like, I know. And she starts crying more. This is a woman that doesn't cry. She's tough as nails, you know. And I said, I said, your apartments are being built. How many apartments are you getting built? 350,000? She's like, more than that. And I'm like, but I thought you said you sold your home for 350,000. Now she's in debt for $30,000. So all her 350,000 is gone. She's in debt and $30,000 now. It's on her credit card. She also asked her daughter for money in Canada, and her daughter's not even asking her why she would need money. Like, why isn't her family wondering why she's borrowing money? Anyway, I said to her, who knows about this? Like when she told me that she lent money from her daughter, I said, so your daughter knows what's going on? And she's like, no way, I can't tell them anything. And I'm like, well, who knows? And she said her cousin knows, her cousin. And I'm like, all right, well, her cousin's a female. And she's like, yeah, my cousin knows. And I'm like, okay, well, at least someone in her family knows, you know? And then I said, well, I already had a run-in with one of her daughters, you know, so I don't want that because one of her daughters already got very, 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 very cruel with me on social media. You know, she went on my accounts because of the other guy that came here. Remember I said the guy that asked me for Bob Marley on the beach? Like all this trash, right? She went on my accounts, on my Instagram account, and started to say bad things about me. And I was like, whoa, like this is not cool. So I had to block her daughter. But I'll tell you what, right now, if I didn't have her daughter blocked and if I did know her daughter's Instagram, I would contact the daughter. I would. I just don't know her family's information any longer. So then, you know, I said, okay, so one of your family members knows what you're going through here. And she said, yes. And I said, all right then, okay. And I said, so tell me more of what's going on. Just because I needed the information, you know, to rest my own brain, not to tell you guys, right? But yes, to share with you guys as well, but also just in case anything happens to her here, I can, you know, at least like tell her children, you know. So then she says to me, she can't get it together because she's too drunk, you know, she's too drunk. She can't get her thoughts together and she just starts crying again. So I'm like, hold on a second. Now, the same guys that are around the bar, it's like a circular shape, right? They're now watching what's going on. Not like now they can see her actually losing it, having her meltdown. And then so I look at one guy who's a builder, and and I know he's a great builder. He's Canadian as well, and he knows the stuff here. So I really wanted him to connect with her. So I said, listen, I said to her, I said, listen, I'm going to call him over, and I want him to talk to you, and you connect with him. Because if you rented this land, and it's rent to own, and it's getting stuff built on it, don't walk away from what you've already invested in. That's $350,000. I've never heard of anyone building anything for $350,000. Oh, and it's only 2 apartments. 2 apartments, that should have only been like no more than 180,000. Like that's with land, like, you know, like seriously, like maybe not with land well, yeah, because 2 apartments is like a house with 2 bedrooms with everything. You know what I mean? That's not a lot. And I'm like looking at her and I'm like, 2 apartments, what's normal here is 4 apartments in a building or 6 apartments in a building, 8 apartments, 10 apartments, you know, in a building, 2 floors or 3 floors. That's what's common here because we don't really have we don't have elevators here. So you don't really want to make a 7th floor building, right, without an elevator type of thing. So it usually goes up to about 3 floors. And the common thing is 6 apartments in a building, and that shouldn't cost $350,000. And this rent to own thing that she doesn't even have papers for, it all sounded too shady. So I said, I'm going to call this builder over right now. And she was like, no, no, don't. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, just don't. And I'm like, okay, at least take his card. And she's like, listen, this is what I need to know. I need to know that if I call you at any time, are you there for me? Will you come and get me? And I'm like, yeah, of course I will. And she's like, I mean it. What are you here for right now? What do you want from me? I said, I don't want anything from you. I want to help you. I'm thinking you can get something from me, like help, assistance. I know what type of problems you're in right now. I can sense it. And then she says, okay, if I call you, will you be there? And I said, absolutely. But I think you should plan it. There's a place in Los Charamicos, you know, it's a 3-bedroom house that I have right now. You can make it, like you can rent out the 3 rooms. There's one room that is an office, but it's big enough for a bedroom. And you can stay in there and you can have a house that's not even yours, sublease it, just buy the furniture. And, you know, it's an empty house right now. And I said, you can lease the furniture, rent to own the furniture, and just make that beautiful home into like a real nice rentable place and put yourself on Airbnb, right? And I told her, like, it's $575 a month, but I was going to make it $550 because I was going to ask the landlord to take $50 off, right? So she's like, well, I don't know. I want to be in bad taste so I can walk to the bars. And I'm like, girl, you can take a motoconcho to the bars from Los Charamicos and you can walk across the beach. And this location is a 4-minute walk, 5-minute walk away from the beach. So I sent her the video that I did. I had just done a video on it about 2 days before that. So I sent her the video of the place. And she's like, okay, she was too drunk to look at the video at that time. So I said to her, when you go home tonight or tomorrow, take a look at this video, you know, tell me if this is something you would like to rent. And then she's like, well, what are you going to get out of it? And I'm like, helping you. Like, seriously, helping you. I wasn't even going to charge her the $50 finder's fee to, you know, pay me for finding the place for her that I charge to people, $50 finder's fee to find them apartments. I was just like, take it, you know? And she's like, okay. And then, you know, my gut told me she was not going to do it. But then she started to cry again. And then she started to tell me that right now her pension, because she's totally in debt. She lost all that 350. She lost everything. And now she only gets $1,500 a month for pension, Canadian. But yet she's living with this guy in her own room. And he has his own room, and she's paying for everything in the house, and one of his family members is staying there as well. And she's paying 8,000 pesos a month for a maid. Now, you just heard me say that the other woman was paying 4,000 pesos a month, and the maid doesn't even clean her bedroom. And she pays all of the food, and she pays, 8,000 pesos is like $130 a month. It might not seem like a lot for maids, but like, because if you're in America or Canada or whatever, but here, that's not a normal price, 8,000 a month. It's really not a normal price. It's about 4,000 a month if a woman comes in once a week. You pay her $20 for the one day that she comes in to clean. Right? So I'm like, that just sounds astronomical right there, that price. And then so she told me that she's spending $1,500 a month American on rent. So I'm like, how are you spending $1,500 on rent when your Canadian check is $1,500 a month? And she's like, exactly. So she's topping up the rest of the bills on her credit card. Her credit card is so high now. And I'm like, what the heck? How does a woman even get herself into this position? But I'm not judging at this moment. I'm realizing that maybe she's ready for her wake up call. So then she's crying again. And I'm like, you know what? I call over the builder because I'm like, this woman is not going to walk away from her $350,000 development. I don't care if she put $350,000 into it or if he took that money or whatever. She needs a lawyer. She needs to speak to. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm sorry I have to digress, but I'm going to show you guys something. Look at this. Remember I told you I have a cat visiting me? Well, look who else visits me. Right there. See that bird? Look at that bird. He comes and he flies right in my house. And he just sits on my chairs. And I've fallen in love with him. Look at him. Hold on a second. Whoops, hold on. Look at him. And he just flies right in. Oh, I think that's just such a beautiful compliment to my character. And look at Noche. Noche is like, what's up? She can see him. See her? I put sheets on my furniture. Oh, there. Noche! You know better than that. Hold on, guys. Let me turn the camera back around now. So, yeah, I didn't tell you guys, like, I have, the bird just comes in and says hello. I think it's so sweet. And he doesn't poo in my apartment or anything like that. He just comes in, says hello, and leaves. I think it's so sweet. I won't lie. I'm like, oh my gosh, he loves me. You know, like, oh my gosh, like, he must be picking up on my character being, you know, I don't know, violent or whatever. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so anyway, now she's like crying and I'm like, you're not going to give up your investment. You're going to fight for your investment and you're going to do it right. So then I call the builder over. And I don't care what she's saying now, because now someone else is going to hear this and someone else is going to get involved. And if she doesn't want to help herself, then I'm going to at least try to help her a little bit more. And she's like, no. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell him the story or your business and what's going on. But I am going to get him to give you his card. So you at least have a business card. And then you have that video that I sent you. You have a few options that you're going to deal with. So she's like, okay. So then he comes over and I introduce him and I'm like, listen, and I give him the eye and I'm like, she needs your card. And I've never done that to him before, right? And right away he's like, okay. He went to his car and he got a couple of cards and he came back and I'm like, thank you. And I gave his card to her. He didn't ask any more questions. He just knows that if I'm saying that this woman needs his card, and he's just going to do it, because he knows I'm probably looking out for her. He witnessed the whole thing from the beginning, from when I arrived and from when she's like, oh, look how fat you are. You gained some weight. Look at your arms. And always putting people down. All she does is put people down. She doesn't look at herself, and that is the problem. So, but I think we're all guilty of that in some ways, right? So then, you guys go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. So then, the owner of the bar comes over because she's like crying to the point where I'm like, she needs someone to get her out of that house tonight. Because now at this point, she's saying to me, listen, all I need to know that if I call you, it doesn't matter what time in the middle of the night and I'm ready. Do you have a truck to get everything? And I said, absolutely. So then all of a sudden I see my buddy who has moved me around. You guys, those of you who've been watching my journey here for the last few years, almost 4 years, I've been living in this apartment for a year and a half now. but even more. But my first couple of years here, I moved like at least 10 times, right? Just looking for my place. And so I have this one guy that moves me all the time, and he just happened to go by on the street. And so I'm like, hold on a minute. And I went, you guys hold on a minute too. I'm just going to go get myself some more water here. Hold on. Sorry. Gotta get my ice. Hold on, guys. I just want to say, if you guys are coming here, make sure you give me a shout. I do airport pickups and drop-offs as well. Hold on. Be patient. I'll be right there. I'm coming. I hope that wasn't too long, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I see the guy in the truck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, his name's Joselito. And I go out into the street, and I'm like, Joselito, and I flag him down. And I'm like, listen, my friend, she may need like middle of the night type of move, right? And he doesn't speak English, but I told him, I'm like, ella tiene mucho problemas, right? Like she has a lot of problems. She might need you in the middle of the night. He's like, call me. And I said, okay. He's like, I'm right here. His apartment's like down the street, and he's like, I'm right here. If you don't reach me on my phone, you just come and you knock on my door. I got you, don't worry. And I'm like, okay. So now I had that secured. Then I go back into the bar, and then I said to her, okay, well, I got a truck for you if you need anything. And she's like, you promise? She's all drunked up by this point, even more. And I'm like, yes, I promise. Like, don't worry, I got you. And she's like, all right. So now the owner of the bar, he comes over, and I said to the owner, I didn't, at this point, I felt like I'm not able to deal with this on my own. This woman is in dire straits. That's a lot of money to be taken for nothing, not even having a lawyer, sign nothing, and her family doesn't know what she's going through, and it's a big problem. And now she's in debt on her credit card, and not only that, this guy's taking advantage of her. Still, it's not like it already passed. She's still living with him, and it's not even like it's her boyfriend. And he keeps lying to her and saying that he has investments on the way, and he doesn't. He doesn't have anything, clearly, because he's using her, right? Well, the owner of the bar comes over, and I told on her. I know she told me not to, but it's above me now. Now I know too much, and now I know I'm not able to help alone. I got her truck if she needs her truck. I got her the house if she needs the house, but now it's beyond me. So I said to the owner of the bar, I said, listen, she needs help. And the owner's like, are you okay? And then she started to just cry, like big time. And she grabbed him and she hugged him and she was like, no. And he said, I know. Now here in the Dominican Republic, we don't get into anyone's business. If we know someone is being taken advantage of, everyone minds their business, because you are a grown person and you should know yourself that you're being taken advantage of. We all have that sixth sense. We all have that intuition where we know when we are giving much more than what we need. Now, when you're in a position and you sold your home somewhere and you come here with a lot of money and it's just getting watered away, and you don't have any proof of anything, then nobody is going to step in and help you if you're not helping yourself. We're all adults here. We are all adults. And you got to understand that you need some type of paperwork from a lawyer. You need some type of paperwork to even read. You need to know that this stuff is in your name. So this was like, I'm like, this is a foolish woman. I don't understand what's going on, because this is a woman that bought a home in Canada. So in any case, She just one thing led to the next, and sorry, I'm messing up my hair here. One thing led to the next, and he is holding her. She's crying all in his chest, and she's crying, crying. The whole bar is watching, and then he says to her, "I'm going to help you." And she's like, "Okay." And he's like, "I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to tell him that I'm going to take over the building and I'm going to make sure that you get everything, all your paperwork straightened out." She said, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, I can't do anything now." Now, this is crazy because she has me, she has this guy, she has this other home she's going to move into, and she also has the truck. She has this other builder, and police officers and everything. Even this guy even said, he's like, "I have a lot of police officers I can send to your place right now. You just give me the word." And she's like, "No." And I said to her, "Don't be afraid of police officers. I called the police before when I had a bad relationship when I was here in the beginning, and the police officers had my back. I have a couple of them on speed dial. I've did videos about this before, right? And you don't have to be afraid of the police officers here. They love us. They want us to be happy here. You know, if you're not doing anything wrong and you're a woman, then you're good." And then so, she's like, "No." And then so he's like, "Okay, okay, well, when you're ready." And then she's like, "Okay, but are you there for," same thing she said to him that she said to me, "Are you there for me on speed dial if I need you?" So I said to her, "Here's his number." And right away, I forwarded her on her WhatsApp his number, just like I forwarded her the video. I said, "Here's his number. You can contact him." And she asked him, "Do you have an apartment in Sosua?" And he said, "I'll find one for you." But he looks at me like he knows I can find her one, right? Right now it's high season. And I mean, they're going to be expensive. She's going to be looking at a high price in Sosua. So I told him, I said, "I have a house for her over here. Right." And then she said she doesn't want to be lonely or alone. And I said, "You won't be alone." And she's like, "Will you live with me?" I'm like, "No, I won't. I'm very happy where I live, but you'll be across from me. This house is straight across the street from where I live." And she's like, "Okay." And then I said to her, "You know what?" And then she said she had to go. By this time, she was so drunk, like really intoxicated, that even the servers didn't want to serve her any longer, right? And then so she's like, she had to go. So I contacted my motor control driver just so he would know where she lives, because I just kind of want to know where. She kept saying to me, "You want to come to my place?" I'm like, "I'm not stepping in foot in your place. I am not going into your place, because once I am chilling with you and he sees me with you, he's going to know that I'm working with you to get you out of there. And I don't need those types of problems in my life at all." Right? And not at all. And I think that was a smart move on my behalf. And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to come to my place?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. I'm not interested." Right? So I said to her, "I'm going to call my motor control for you. I want you to come tomorrow as well to Los Charamicos and look at the house. And then you can also come to my house and we can have a barbecue. I'll invite a couple of people over, and you can see what it's like to have friends here and really good people." And I invited Ken and Elsa, she already knew, and everything like that. So anyway, I called my motor control and he came right away, and I'm like, "You got to get her home." And he looks at me and he's like, "She's drunk. Like, it's illegal to put someone that drunk on your bike. You can go to prison for that." And I'm like, "I know." And I didn't know what to do. So I looked at her and I'm like, "Can you go on a motor control right now? Like, can you, or are you okay?" She's like, "F yeah." And so I looked at him and I'm like, "She said she can go on the motor control right now." And he's like, "All right, let's do it." So I went against my better judgment and I get her on the motor control. She couldn't even walk out of the door. Like, she couldn't leave the bar on her own. She was so wobbly like that. And then we get her to the motor control outside, and people are like looking, they're watching, and they know I don't have friends like that here. They know I have people that are in business here, people that are like upstanding here, like, I mean, we all drink and we all have a good time and stuff like that, but I don't chill with chicks that are uncontrollable. So anyway, and 60 something years old, 65 years old. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I get her on the bike. I had to lift her leg up and put it on the proper handles, foot handles, and everything. And she got on and she was fine, like a fish in fish in water. She was fine. A lot of us will find that we get on the moto because we're so used to taking them, no matter how buzzed up people are, and they're fine once they're on the moto. You'd be surprised. You'd think that they'd fall off or whatever, but that just doesn't happen. At least I don't see it happen. I've never seen it happen. So anyway, he takes her home, and then he comes back to me and he's like, "Who is this woman?" Because him and I have been working together for 2 years, right? We work together all the time. He's the one that takes me all around and does the videos with me for apartments and everything like that, for land to sell. He takes me all the way from Puerto Plata to Cabarete, Gaspar Hernandez, Sabaneta. Like, him and I have been road dogs together. And he's like, "Who's this woman, Cerise?" And I'm like, "She's the woman from Canada that I knew from before." And he's like, "Who's she here with?" And even he was now concerned about her. And I'm like, "Well, she's here on her own." And he's like, "Where's her family? This is an old woman. Like, she shouldn't be that drunk in the street." And I'm like, "I know, I'm trying to help her right now." And he's like, "Well, do you know her family?" And I'm like, "Well, not really, not any longer." And I tried to explain to him in my best Spanish, and he understood. And I said, "Listen, tomorrow I need you to go pick her up and bring her to Los Charamicos. I'm going to plan a little party. We're going to have a barbecue. I need you to go to the butcher shop." I planned all this. And I'm like, "I need you to go to the butcher shop, get some meat, go get some vegetables, and everything. And I'm going to do a little cooking. And I'm going to invite Ken and Elsa and her. And I'm going to let her know what Los Charamicos is all about. We're going to sit down on my terrace and we're going to play some music and have a few drinks and have a really good time because I need her to see that place." And he's like, "All right." He's like, "You know what? I got your back." Like, he was so proud of that. He's like, "Good for you, Cerise. She needs help." Like, and he already knows how I flex anyway. He already knows that that's my nature anyway. And so I did give him a brief history on things, but because I don't know, I just didn't really want to talk too negative about everything, I didn't give him the full history. So the next day, he comes to my apartment. She was supposed to be picked up at 11. Oh, no, not the next day. Wait, let's back up. Hit that like button, guys. So that night, I was in my bed, right? Because I got home like maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And so I'm in my bed. And she calls me. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's ready. Amazing." I'm thinking she got home. She was all drunked up. She got into an argument with the guy and she came to her senses and she's ready. And I was like, "All right, I got her back." So I answered the phone and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "Hi." She's not drunk any longer, right? I guess she slept it off for a couple of hours. And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "So that house." And I'm like, "Yeah, the house, it's beautiful. You can fix it up, put it on Airbnb." She's like, "I don't know how to do that." And I'm like, "I will help you. You don't have to worry about anything. I will get you the clients. I have clients that are coming here and they're looking for something that's cheap. It's $550 a month. And you can charge them each $200 a month for the room alone and offer them breakfast, like continental breakfasts in the morning, because she wakes up early in the morning. Why not offer a couple of eggs? They're so cheap here." And I said, there's a lot of single men coming here. They're on a pension just like you, and they can come here and they can rent out those rooms. And from the 3 guys like that pay $200 each a month, you are making your rent and also, $50 for the utilities every month, right? And she's like, "Okay." And it's sounding good to her, I thought, right? And she's like, "All right." And she's like, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I'm like, "All right." And I said, and she's like, "But I don't really know about 11 o'clock in the morning because this guy, her friend or man, I don't know. You know how women say they're not sleeping with a man, but really they are. I think they had a little something, and that she, I don't know. I know he doesn't break her off a lot because I know he's into young girls that are, brown skin, sexy, and stuff like that. This woman is an older white woman. There's not a lot of sex appeal. She has a good heart. She has a good heart at times when she's not drinking, but a foul mouth. So anyway, I said to her, I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter what time, you let me know. If not 11 o'clock in the morning, let me know. So she's like, well, he leaves the house after 1. I'm like, why do you have to wait for him to leave the house if he's not your man? And she's like, well, because, I don't want any problems with him. And so I got that. Okay, she wants to move in silence. She doesn't want anyone to know her movements. All right, cool. But that wasn't it. The next morning comes, and I check in on her and I'm like, all right, you just let me know if anything changes. So she's like, yeah, 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? So then she messages me at 2 o'clock and she says, no, not 2 o'clock, at like, I think 1 o'clock. And she says, yeah, it's not going to be today. He's not going out. So I left her a message and I'm like, yo, you don't want to help yourself. So I'm not going to help you. And I cut out again. I cut out from that big time. I am not into helping anyone that's going to be bringing problems upon themselves and then not knowing how to fix it or not wanting to fix it when it's time to fix it. You have to have a proper state of mind when you are dealing with people anywhere around the world. And when you are here and you are out of your country, you cannot be dealing with people. This guy is not a Dominican. He's not a Dominican, but it doesn't have anything to do with anyone that's not Dominican. It's just all these stories that I just told you. None of these guys are Dominican. But now I'm going to tell a story about, but that's the end of the story of that one anyway. Like I clean my hands of her, even my son. I told him the day before, right, when I got home from being out, I was like, guess who I reconnected with? And he was like, who? And I told him, and he's like, oh, no, Mom. No, he's like, I know you got a good heart, but Mom, that's just problems. I would not open that can of worms if I were you. And I was like, I know. He's like, if I was you, I wouldn't even touch it. And I was like, I know, sweetie, but I got to help her. No one's going to help her like I can. And then he's like, all right, and then when she canceled, I messaged him back and I'm like, whoo, thank God. God works in mysterious ways. And he's like, I'm so happy that she canceled because you really don't need that back in your life, that type of negativity and those types of people, right? And I agree with him. And I I'm happy that she canceled, and I do still feel really bad for her, but she has the owner of the bar and she also has the builder's number. And if she ever wants that 3-bedroom, if it's still available, she only has to message me. And if she still calls me in the middle of the night and she needs help, I will definitely, I won't bring her to my apartment to have her sleep here or anything like that, but I will contact the driver. And the driver of the truck, he's Dominican, and he will be able to help her to get an apartment for the night, and he can keep her belongings in the truck overnight, and then I can help her get a place the next day. It's not rocket science, okay? It really isn't. It takes somebody who loves themselves to love their life that much to say they are not going to be taken advantage of any longer. Now, a story of another woman who didn't allow it to happen. And she is two women. One is Black American woman, and she was like not having it any longer. She dated one Dominican guy here, and he was asking her for money every day, and he was, and he was working. And he's like, he needs this, he needs that. And she bought him a car because he was on a moto and the moto kept breaking down. So she bought him a car. And finally, she was just like, oh my gosh. My dog didn't chase the bird away, but the stray cat that comes here and eats that I feed all the time just chased my bird away outside. I have the whole entire feeding chain going on here. Noche Benaki. Noche goes outside like, what's going on? You chased my mom's bird away, cat, and I'm not even allowed to chase you away, cat. Noche Ben. Oh, I love it here. So, so yeah. So anyway, I think I should turn a light on. It's getting a little bit dark in here now. But so this woman, she got with a Dominican and he kept asking her for money over and over again. And he was working. So he was taking his money and saving it, clearly. And she was paying for fixing his moto all the time. And so she got to a point where she's like, well, you know what? Let's buy a car together. And when we buy the car, you can come and pick me up when I need a drive, right? Because she didn't have a car here. And she's like, and then you can also have a car to get back and forth to work. And he's like, okay. So for a moment, that was working out for them. But then the car needed to be fixed. And she's like, you know, I really expect you to at least put a little bit into the vehicle as well. And he's like, well, you know, it's expensive. And she's like, okay, I understand. You're right. So she said, well, at least pay for your own gas. But you know what? Gas is very expensive here. Like, it's better she just bought him a brand new moto instead of buying a car. Like, why are you buying a car for somebody to go back and forth to work with? Buy him a brand new moto, because guess what? Within 3 months, it's going to pay its way off. But she's not a moto type of chick. She doesn't want to be picked up on a moto. She's into taking taxi cabs everywhere and, you know, renting cars. So she bought him a car. I've never bought a man a car, but I have bought a man a moto here. And in Canada, I wouldn't even buy a man a moto. When I say moto, I mean motorcycle. Now, motorcycles are not that expensive here. The one that I bought was 1,100, and it was 1,000 cc's, and it was a one of a kind. Very beautiful, very nice. Those of you who've been, you know, following my journey here, you know what it looks like and everything. I took a whole video about it, and it was great. It was a Yamaha original. So motos are not very expensive here. You can get a really nice secondhand car here for like $4,000. And I think that's expensive, because in Canada, before I came here, I could have got a nice secondhand car for $2,000. But, you know, I mean, here you might want to get a Jeep, just to let you know, because when you're driving in the roads, some roads have gutters and really deep, like crevices when you're walking. You know what? Tomorrow when I do my live to air, no, not my live to air. I'm doing a brand new video on about Sosua. So that one should be up on Tuesday. Tomorrow's Monday. So I'm going to do a little bit of video about the roads. And tomorrow I'll take a video of the roads, and I'll just show you guys. For those of you who do drive cars, you don't want to get anything low to the ground at all. If you're driving in Sosua, you want to get an SUV. That's what you do want to rent, period, or buy. So she bought him a car, and, you know, he needed to pay for the gas. And the gas is very expensive here, much more expensive than it is in Canada, you know. So she did that, I think, mistake. And I think she should have just lived her own life and bought him a moto if she really wanted to do something kind. Bought him a moto and let him use that moto and pay for his own moto gas. Now, if you are going to buy someone a car here, whether you're a guy buying a girl a car, or whether you're a woman buying a guy a car, get something that has a propane tank, like a real propane tank, where you're using like barbecue gas to go to and fro. Because although you can't smoke in the car, it still is amazingly inexpensive. I have drivers, and the reason why I can get my drivers to pick up most of my clients at really inexpensive prices is because they have propane tanks. They're not paying high prices in gas. Gasoline is very expensive here. Anyway, back to her car. She bought him a really expensive, a car, not really expensive, but he couldn't pay for his own gas. So here he is driving this car, not being able to pay for gas, not being able to pay for the maintenance. And she ended up leaving him because she's like, you know what? He's just a user. And I'm like, he's not a user. He seriously needed the money for the gas. And he seriously needed the money for the maintenance. You should have just bought him a motorcycle. There's nothing wrong if you want to treat someone kind. Like I said, I bought a man a moto, but I was able to use that moto for 3 months. Him and I were together for, I don't know, 4, 5 months, right? And he didn't have a moto, but yet he was driving me all around town, and we were renting his uncle's moto every day, and for 500 pesos a day, which is not a lot. That's $10 a day. And I mean, we would have it from like 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And then he said to me, he's like, you know what, for $10 a day, you know, you can buy a moto and it's going to be a lot cheaper than that. And I was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. So I did buy a moto with the intentions that him and I were going to be together, but we ended up breaking up. And in a very good way, too. I mean, whenever I see him in Cabarete, I always get a free ride on the moto that I bought. And I don't consider it mine because I didn't pay the last payment either. I did payments on it. I leased to own. And I put the down payment of $400. And then the next month I paid $317. Another month I paid $317. And then I think the third month he paid. Because we only had it for 3 months. We were together for 3 months when I got it. And we were together for 4 months totals, like to get all together, I think. And forgive me for this, but put it this way. We got together in June and broke up in September. So June, July, August, September. Our relationship was 3 months, and I bought the moto shortly after we got together. My battery's going to go low. My battery's low, so I'm going to have to go soon. But yeah, so that was like a really great investment for me because I didn't have to pay moto concho all the time. And so that was a great investment for me. I used that moto every single day with him. And falling off this seat, hold on. I used that moto every single day with him, so I got my use out of it, and I didn't have to pay for taxi. I didn't have to pay for anything, and he even paid for the gas in it. And he had a butcher shop, so you know he used it when I wasn't with him, and he made his own money on the side. It worked out for me. But this woman went and bought a whole entire car thinking she was going to have her man go up a step and not pay for the gas. You can't do that. That's like buying someone a huge mansion and telling them to take care of the gas and lights. Meanwhile, they couldn't even afford the apartment that they were in. You get what I mean? Know what you're doing and what you're doing. Like, know where you're going with this person that you're with. So now, another woman, she left him, by the way. The Black American woman, she's like, Cerise, I couldn't even handle that. I had to leave. I gave him the car and told him good luck, right? But okay, I get it. Then the other woman that I want to talk about is another Canadian woman. She came here recently, and she was talking to a guy on and off for like 10 years. And, I met him, and he reminded me so much of another ex that I had when I first got here. And I was like, oof, this is not going to turn out good. And, but I didn't give her any credit. I did not give her the credit that she deserved. And if she's watching this, I want to tell her, shouts out. So anyway, she came here, and she was like meaning to move here for a long time. She sold her house. She's been watching my videos, watching everyone else's videos here. She moved here. And when she got here, he started to move in his mother and his daughter into her apartment. And she was paying for everything. And she said to him, listen, I just really want it. And she moved away from her family because her own children were taking advantage of her in Canada. Right? And she didn't want to take care of anyone else. She just wanted to take care of herself. So she sold her house in order to just have everyone stop feeding off her. Right? So then she sold her house. She came here and she got herself an apartment. I helped her get an apartment. And then, she said to me one day, she's like, Cerise, I can't handle it any longer. He has his mother coming over, his daughter coming over. She's like, and I don't mind if they come over like once a week on a weekend. And I understand he has to have his daughter, but he stopped working and they're all in the house and they're all eating like it's like a feeding frenzy. And I said, well, just tell him to keep his daughter at home and only bring her during his visiting days. And his mom, why is she coming over to your house? Like, why is she going to your place? And then she's like, oh, the mom cleans up. And I'm thinking, why do you even want the mother cleaning up for you? Like, this woman's like 52 years old. Her boyfriend's 36 years old. The mother's got to be somewhere in between that age. I don't want my boyfriend's mother cleaning the house. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And so, anyway, and I'm pretty sure the mother also feels a little uncomfortable with it. So, before I go on, I do have to talk about this paid promotion. Sorry, guys, this video is a paid promotion video. This is called Lover's Rock. This here is a stone from the Dominican Republic. It is indigenous only to the Dominican Republic, and it is a stone found here, and you can get a female's version, and this is the male's version. But I like everything a little gaudy, so I got the male's version. And it's Lover's Stone, Lover's Rock, and it is called Laudemar. It's a very beautiful stone. It's nice, natural silver, and the stone right here. I'm going to put the link down below. You guys can contact me for it and you guys can get it. It's kind of like a promise ring, a love bracelet though. And it has the natural stone. It's a bangle. You can wear it like this, or you can wear it the other way around, like how I wear it. Okay, so let me move on. The other bracelet I have right here, the black one, that's actually made by a Haitian. It's all made by tire. That's rubber. And you can't get them easily. So that's a one of a kind, and I'm not able to sell those to you. But these ones here, 100%, you want to get them made, let me know. They're also made with blue amber. Blue amber is another very unique stone here. Okay, so before the video ends, because it's going to end soon, and I just want to say goodbye to you guys before it does, because sometimes I don't get to say goodbye, but I did get the first warning about my battery. So now this woman, she's like, no, Cerise, I don't want him feeding off me any longer. So her and I were out one night and we were chilling, and she's like, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him that I can't do this any longer. I can't feed his daughter 24/7. I can't feed his mother 24/7. And he's not working as much as he once was. And she's like, I didn't come here for that. I came here for retirement. She's only 52 years old, young, right? And she's like, I sold my home, and the money that I sold my home with, some of it I put into investments, and then the rest of it, I'm living off here. Like, she's not working here. So whatever money she has, obviously, she needs to spend it wisely. And then she's like, I don't know what to do. So, I said to her, just tell him to come a little bit, like once a week or whatever. And, like, work with him if you love him. And she's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. She went home that night and she told him, like, she had enough. Like, she's not doing it any longer. And he beat her. Yes, he did. He beat her up. And then I told her, I said, you know what? Come to Los Charamicos. Like, come to Los Charamicos and just stay in my building. But her and I, we also had a little falling out. These Canadian women, we also had a little falling out because she disrespected me and didn't give me a proper apology. You know what I mean? Like, so I told that story on another video, and I don't want to keep reiterating it or keep rehashing it or anything like that. I forgive her, but I also respect her because she held her ground and did not take him back. She moved back. She moved out of the building, and she's now not with him, as far as I know. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her, but as far as I know, she did not take him back. And she recognized her limits, what she's willing to give and what she's not willing to give and what she came here for. So recognize your limits, okay? Don't be taken advantage of by anybody anywhere around the world, and especially when you are on vacation. Listen to that song by Kenny Rogers. Know when to hold them, know when to walk away. But don't look at it as a card deck. Look at it as a lover, right? Know when to walk away and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. I don't even know the song, but I'm going to listen to it after this video, right? But I just want to tell you guys, listen to that before you come and learn your lesson. It doesn't matter if you are dealing with a foreigner, an undocumented illegal immigrant, or a local. It doesn't matter where you are or what you do around the world. You have to pay attention to common sense. Don't give more here than what you would give back home unless you are giving something into charity. And again, still give with a certain standard. Okay, before I let you guys go, because I am going to try to attempt another story before my battery burns out here. But before I let you guys go, I do want to say, join me tomorrow for my live to air, because I have an important announcement about tailor-made dreams and a personal invitation for you. And then also, I want you to join me tomorrow morning on www.g987fm.com. That's radio station in Toronto. If you are in Toronto, then you can just go to 97.8 FM. 98.7 FM, and just go on the FM dial. I'm going to be on there tomorrow doing Mindful Mondays, and I'm going to be giving you guys some really good information on how you can start your week off on a Monday. Every single Monday, I'll be doing that, okay? Let me attempt to get into the other story right now, but I do want to say to you guys, if it cuts out, I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I will definitely do a part 2, because this is something where I have a lot more stories to go, and I want to tell you guys. But the next ones I'm going to be doing are on men. Oh my gosh, the men get battered here. All right, so last story. There is a woman. She's an older woman. I think she's almost 70. And she holds it down. Her man is a Haitian man. And she's in the bars a lot with him. She doesn't let him mess. She doesn't even talk to me actually now, because she has caught him a couple of times giving me the eye. And he gives me the eye even when he's with her. And her head is turned, looking at the live band, watching music. She's like this, right? And I'll be watching the live band too, and I'll feel something like someone looking at me, and I'll turn really quick again back to the live band. But one time I went I'm smiling, talking to a friend of mine, not even feeling anyone looking at me, and I turn to the side and I look, and bam, he looks at me and he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. I felt so offended. I felt so offended for her. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she turned around and went and looked right at me. She looked at him and then looked right at me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got caught in something that I wasn't even guilty of. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh no. I felt so bad. But at the same time, ever since then, I won't even speak to him. I won't even say hello to him. I won't even look his way. When she shows up with him, I won't even nod at her. I won't even talk to her. Before, I would at least smile at her and say hi, She never really gave me too much of her attention, because I guess she even noticed that he was always staring my way, looking for someone new to gold dig, but like a younger version. And so I guess that's why she stopped talking to me. I don't know. But in the beginning, she used to talk to me. But then after a while, she would just be like, walk by me and not even say a thing. And I'm like, why isn't she saying hi to me? So a few times I would go out of my way and be like, hi, how you doing? And she'd go, oh, hi. and keep it moving, you know? But then after that night, I won't even talk to her. After that night, I won't even talk to him. I won't even talk to him. And this is what you have to be careful of. If you are an older woman and there's a guy following you on the streets, or there's a guy saying that he's taking your money and investing it, or if there's a guy that needs something, really pay attention to the circumstances. Pay attention to what you can offer. Know your limits, please. There are a lot of women that come here and they know their limits and they are not going past that boundary at all. Be that woman, because no one's going to help you. Nobody is going to come up to you and say, oh, be careful. They're not going to do that. Number one, because they can see you're weak, and you are weak. And you are giving way too much, and you are just being so foolish, and they don't want to get caught in that train wreck. They don't want to get caught up because everyone's living their own life here. But number two, they also they just don't want problems. I mean, I guess that's number one and number two, and every number in itself. Nobody wants to take your problems on. So please, if you are the type of person that has yourself in a situation and your gut, your intuition is telling you something is off, listen to it. Pay attention to it. Do your best to say to yourself, I am worth more than this. My life that God has given me is worthy. And I am going to show the world that I am a valuable citizen here, a valuable person on this world, on this earth. And do that for yourself and also for others around you, because there are going to be people around you that are going to want to help you and get themselves involved, and they don't need to do that. So don't make life miserable for everyone else. Make life better for you and for the people that want to help you and love you and that are around your energy. Okay, so for me, I'm not going to help this woman that I spoke about already any longer. I even told her in a message, I said, you don't want to help yourself, I'm not helping you. Thank God she canceled, because I don't think that would have been the end of it. And that's pretty much about it. I made it to the end, and my camera just got dark, and I'm pretty sure it's about to cut out. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm not getting to the messages because, let me try. Here, let me try. Jody, okay. Opal, hi, okay, here we go. Sosua Sasquatch, how you doing? And then we have Terrence Pickle, hello. I'll be back in Sosua next week, definitely watching. Thank you. Then we have Tito. Hey, Tito, you deleted your message. Patrick, hello. Carter, how you doing? Yoga. Tony, yoga again. Hey, Tony went playing his position. That's the norm. Okay, sorry guys. Oh, Jimenez Productions, how are you? Thank you so much for the contribution. You know that when I get contributions, I always give them out to the locals here. LT, I love you. The term is bajo mundo. Thank you so much. That means kind of like white trash or just trash. Tony, she looking out for perks for herself. He was tricking heavy. El Presidente. Sorry, Tony. Thank you so much for you. She was calling you a hater. See, who are you talking about? Call her Stella. You know what? I need to look at the messages more as I'm doing my live to airs. Anyway, hi, Jackie. Let me see. Deborah, hello. Tony, you have a lot to say. We're pimps. He came up big. Oh, okay. You're talking about the story. Jackie says, people are entitled to their opinion, but there's a respectful way to voice with discretion. People will eventually learn that because you are hurting, it won't make you feel right. Deborah says, laugh out loud. Jackie says, you're such a beautiful soul. Thank you. You'll be a great actress. Your voiceovers are on point. Thank you, Tony. Jody, oh, I love that bird. Noche just wants to play. Oh, Noche just wants to play. Noche's jealous. I got a whole jungle going on here. I got the bird. I got the only thing I need now is a fish. Noche's like not wanting to share me with anyone. Okay. Yes, Jody, a zoo. Okay. RA says hi, Cerise. Hi, RA. We got David. And yes, David, you're right. That's Mr. Moto, Joel, and Cabarete. Deborah, oh my gosh, these stories. Yes, right? I love that stone. Thank you so much, Jody. You guys, the stone is so beautiful. It's a natural stone. You don't really get the full essence of it until you're up close, and each one is like a snowflake. Each one is very unique. And then we have LT, well, Kenneth, I think Kenneth Davis says Vom, looks like a robot. And then Mummyo, Diane, LT, Patrick. I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to read the comments later. Oh my gosh, I made it to the bottom before I got off my live. And then we have Jody. And LT says they see foreigners as walking money. You know what? And I can't blame them because a lot of foreigners, they do that to themselves. This looks like it went a little blurry, guys. I'm so sorry. But a lot of foreigners make themselves, let me see if I turn this camera around, will it change? Or did it go blurry because I took my glasses off? Hold on. Is this seriously going to last this much longer? I think it went blurry. Oh no, my glasses went off. Anyway, I just want to say, you know what? A lot of foreigners make themselves targets just by, doing silly things. I was on the beach a few weeks ago, and this guy came up and he was selling peanuts, and the peanuts that I usually get are like 5 bags for 100 pesos. Homemade peanuts, they're delicious. And then when I was sitting with my foreigner friend, he showed up, and he said to her first, because he was going to give me my deal without even saying anything. He already knows how much I pay for the peanuts, and he knows I'm buying them. And then he looks at her and he tells her 2 bags for 100 pesos. So why am I getting 3 more, right? So he says to her, 2 bags for 100 pesos. And then she's like, okay. And she was about to pay, not knowing. But when I spoke up, I'm like, dude, and this is not a special deal I worked out with him. He just wanted her to negotiate. A lot of people on the beach, they want you to negotiate. They're going to give you a price, but you have to be like, I think that's a little too expensive. And and negotiate. They give you room for negotiation. So anyway, she didn't do that. She's just like, okay. And then I said to her, what? And I looked at him and I'm like, how does that even come into play? 2 bags for 100 pesos? Give her the deal that you give everybody else. And he looks at me and she's like, no, it's okay, Cerise. It's okay. And I'm like, girl, please, no, it's not okay. Because if you do this, then everyone else is going to start getting charged more. And it's not for a little bag of peanuts. I can go to Playero and get them for 100 pesos for 10 bags. You know what I mean? We're just buying on the beach to be polite. And because they're homemade too. And also they're delicious. You can't buy them like that anywhere in any of the grocery stores. But still, you can still buy a big bag of peanuts for almost the same price. Less. But anyway, these peanuts are really good. If you see them on the beach, buy them. But you have to buy them off a specific person because not everyone makes them the same. So anyway, I said to him, I'm like, brah, why are you doing that? And he's like, shh. And she heard the shh. And she's like, oh, it's okay. Even after she heard the shh, she's like, it's okay. I don't mind paying more. And I'm like, but you are relocating here. And this is something that you need to know. You don't do this. This is a man that's going to have your back. Once you strike a deal with him and you buy from him all the time because you like his product, you buy at a really cool price, and he's going to have your back because you're buying from him all the time. You are now a regular. And when a regular is a regular, they get a good price, but they also get respect. So I just want to say that to you guys. Know the difference, please. Don't get ripped off. A lot of people aren't trying to rip you off. A lot of people know that you're just trying to rip off yourself. Patrick, good show today, Cerise. Thank you. And then Jody Grant, have a fabulous day. Okay, guys, if I missed any messages, I apologize. But join me tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a live to air from Playa Sosua, and I'm going to be bringing down my music box. Going to be playing some reggae, some nice roots rock reggae. I love reggae, and we're going to be chilling. I'm going to be with my buddies. I invited a few people, but for sure I know Elsa's going to be there, and I know for sure that Ken will be there. And tomorrow is a holiday. It's Alta Gracia weekend. So Friday was a holiday, and it's a whole great weekend. And tomorrow we're going to do a live to air from the beach, Playa Sosua. So join me, and I'm going to be announcing something about tailor-made dreams, something good. And I want to invite you guys. It's so important. And even if you are not going to be here for the invite, you can still join us live, and you will enjoy it. I'm going to tell you that. All right, let me say goodbye. Bye, guys. I love you. Whoops. I love you. Mwah. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. Oops. I'm hitting the X. There we go.